Hi, everybody. Welcome back to my virtual campfire. Thanks for joining me today. I'm the RV Wingman. Now, I've got a disturbing video interview for you today, sadly. But before we roll that, if you are in the market to buy an RV and you want an RV dealer that will treat you right, not rip your face off, you'll want to do business with one of America's most trusted RV dealers. And you will find them if you grab your phone, shoot that little QR code you see down on the screen down here. It will take you to a Vimeo channel where you can listen to literally a couple of hundred people that talk about their buying experience when they buy from the right RV dealer. So if you're unable to scan that QR code, a link to that channel is in the description down below. All right, let's get started. So if you're thinking about buying an RV, or even if you've already bought one, you need to pay close attention to what you're about to hear. In today's video, I'm sitting down with a man who says he was deceived by Optimum RV in Florida. Optimum RV. That's what he claims. You see, he thought he was getting a what he called a straight up deal. After all, he was a cash buyer. But what he ended up with was nearly $10,000 in unexpected additional fees, including something he said was optional called a camp fee. A camp fee. I don't know. Now, I don't know about you, but if something is called an option, it ought to be optional, right? So here's the deal. I'm inviting Optimum RV right now to join me for a future video and explain exactly what this camp fee is, why it was presented as optional when it really wasn't, and why customers like Monty, who you're about to meet, feel like they were misled. If you had a similar experience with an RV dealer, I want to hear from you. Share your story in the comments or reach out to me directly. My contact info is on the screen. My number is 1330-WINGMAN. Don't want to spell it out, 1330-946-4626. You can also email me at rvwingman@gmail.com, and I do want to hear your story. With your help, we can shine a light on these practices and hold these bad RV dealers accountable. All right, let's dive into the conversation. You may not believe what really happened. I looked at your situation, Monty, what you sent me, and I've got the motorhome that you purchased pulled up on my computer so we can talk about it. But it looks like the purchase price that they had advertised, that it was $143,971. It's a beautiful motorhome, by the way, what I'm looking at. Tell me what happened when you bought that motorhome. I don't need to really know the reason why you bought that particular one, but you bought it, who you bought it from, and what happened when you said, hey, that's the one I want.
Well, of course, we were at Optimum RV in Ocala, and we had two salesmen that we were working with, and we went to look at it. We drove it. Then we stood around and talked about it for a long time, and about things that I saw that needed to be repaired and that I wanted repaired. And so the salesman said, everything would be taken care of. Even though we bought it as an as-is motorhome, we also were charged for a camp ready, which we assumed was a warranty, an extra warranty.
Okay, so but the price of the motorhome that you pay, it was the advertised price is what I want to talk about. That was okay. I mean, I've got it pulled up right here. That's the advertised price. But that's not the price you ended up paying, because they ended up adding all these fees that added up to almost $10,000. Explain how that happened and what those fees were for.
Okay. We were cash buyers. We were just going to write a check for it, trade in a motorhome that I had bought earlier. The advertised price was $143,900, something in that neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And so as we talked to the salesman, they understood that I was going to pay cash for it, and I was going to register it in Tennessee. We live in Florida half the time and live in Tennessee half the time, but I wanted it registered up there because I've got a storage place for it. Mm-hmm. Anyway, when we got in to do the financing, they gave me a sales, I guess, a recap of what was going to do. And they had added all the registration fees and everything for Florida, which I didn't want. But anyway, the final cost was about 152, 153. That was counting the Camp Ready, about a $9,000 add-on, which was not disclosed until that time that we sat down with them to finance it.
Okay, so hang on, let me understand. You paid cash. You mentioned that you went down to talk with the finance people, but you were paying cash. It was a straight
Right.
deal, 143,971. You're going to write a check and whatever the tax and whatever the mandatory fees, you were going to pay that. But you were surprised with this thing they called a Camp Ready fee that was like $9,000.
$8,909, $899, $8,900.
So what was that
I mean,
for? What happened when they they sprang that on you?
well, I asked them what it was, and it was labeled under options, like like you had an option to take it or not take it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I said, I don't want it. And they said, well, it's mandatory. You either take it and I think the statement he made was you either take it or I'm going to have to send all the money back that we've collected on this program in the last ever how many years they'd been using it. So, then they had full.
Hang on, what is it for? But
Well, I assumed it was some kind of a warranty. They also had another warranty on there that was like $12,000. That and I said, I don't want that. I know we're buying a used motorhome, but they wouldn't. They took that off, but then they wouldn't take the Camp Ready off. The Camp Ready, after he explained it to me, I realized that it was a ripoff. He said all that is to make sure that you make it to the campsite the first time, that when you get there. And all our responsibility is for that $9,000 was to check the fluid levels and to top them off.
But it was under options, right?
It was. So
okay,
it was an add-on.
That's sort of like me if I was a car dealer. I'm going to sell you a pickup truck, show you a picture of it, and you come to buy it, and here's the price of it. Oh, and the tires are going to cost you an additional $2,000. You're like,
that's correct.
What?
That's correct.
Well, we're just making sure that the tires are going to be there and they're going to get you to your,
that's exactly right.
So,
it's no warranty to it whatsoever, even though it's an implied warranty. They say that the bought as is overcomes the Camp Ready, but only a fool would have paid $9,000 to just get the oil checked.
So did you push them on this? What happened?
Oh,
Explain. What did you say? What did they say? Because you ended up buying the RV, right? I mean,
I did, but the circumstances on that. But I did buy the RV. I didn't. I had, my intent was not to buy it. We went through this whole thing the second time, and they had the Camp Ready thing in there, and they had all of the closing costs like they were going to register it in Florida. And so when we went back, I said, I don't want the Camp Ready. And that's when he said, it's mandatory that you have to have it. And so when we went back, I was expecting everything to be like a cash sale, which defined in Florida is you pay cash at the advertised price plus 6% sales tax. And then they give you a form that Florida furnishes to carry to Tennessee to show that you'd paid the sales tax. And Tennessee sales tax is 1% higher than Florida's. So I had to pay the 1%. So instead of them just giving me a signed title and a bill of sale, they charged something like, I guess the total amount was $1,700, $1,800. And part of that was document fees for $950, and they weren't even registering the motorhome.
Okay, so but that I think is a ripoff as well. And by the way, Optimum, if you're watching this, I invite you to join me, do an interview, because I want to find out what the heck does Camp Ready mean. It sounds like to me the translation is more money for us, Optimum RV.
That's exactly what it is.
So the price you paid was not the price that was advertised. They had, look, let me hang on just a second. I'm going to pull this up. It's a nice looking motorhome. I mean,
sure,
beautiful. Tons and tons of pictures of it. It's not new, but it's a nice looking motorhome, and the price clearly at the top is $143,971.
Yeah,
but it wasn't. It was $8,999 more than that, plus whatever the, I believe, excessive documentation fees or whatever they charge for paperwork.
I can send you the papers that have, the way they did it, but it ended up, I think we ended up paying net about $162,000 for a $143,000 motorhome.
Yeah, but some of that was taxes. So I don't want to, right?
That's true. That's
okay,
true.
so some of that was taxes. I don't want to lump that into here. I'm just talking about the fees that I believe they sound like they were just fluff to get more money out of you. I'm going to ask you, why didn't you just walk away, Monty? Why didn't you just say, hey, that ain't the deal. Give me my money back and you can have your good luck selling that story to somebody else?
I did walk away. I didn't buy it. I went to, we had a second closing, which they had talked to me about a bank loan. They knew I was a cash buyer. And so we talked about a bank loan and I ended up not taking it. And I didn't want to do the camp ready $10,000 or whatever it was. And so I told them at the second closing, I said, look, I want the papers. I want to take them home and I want to look at them. And so they said, you cannot have the papers unless you sign them. So they can't go off the premises. And so like a fool, it was foolish. I did sign them, but there was no notary. There was nobody in there but the finance guy and me and my wife. And so we signed them. They brought us copies. Exactly. They didn't have anything on them except what was on the final papers. But they took those papers, on unnotarized papers and unauthorized papers, to force me into. They applied for the loan, everything.
Hang on, let me just say this. In your mind, when you signed those papers, you didn't realize what they thought, I believe, is that we got this guy. This deal's done. It's signed, sealed, and delivered. But what you believed is it wasn't a done deal yet, that you were able to go home and review the papers and say, hey, it's a done deal, or I still have some questions. So that's really where the rub came in. But why did you bring up just now about financing, about they wanted to do something?
Well, they brought up a bank loan, and this deal, you can save your cash, and we'll give you $2,000 more money on trade-in or something or whatever it was, and they knew I was a cash buyer. I wasn't interested in that, but when I got back to the second closing, they had included a bank loan, and which that's when I said, look, I need to look at this a little closer. I didn't need to be looking at papers, and anybody that buys an RV needs to take the papers, actually needs to go to a lawyer with it, because it's so complicated that you get so confused, especially sitting there with a guy holding the pen saying, hey, you got to sign these and we'll give you the copies. Well, I did that and they gave me the copies. And before we got home to look at them and have time to look at them, they had checked our credit twice. Well, I knew then something was wrong.
But wait, Monty. You said you were paying cash. When they said, here, we're financing it, did you just say,
No.
I'm putting words in your mouth, but it would seem like to me you said, look, I'm going to review these papers anyway. I'm not going to take the loan out, but let me just see what they got included in here.
That's exactly right. But neither one of us, I know I didn't and my wife didn't, had a clear understanding of what we were doing as far as the papers go. And there was no time that anybody said, hey, you just bought a motorhome. And, we never agreed to buy the motorhome other than signing the papers, which we signed to get for copies.
But there, if you ask Optimum RV, I'm pretty sure they're going to say, oh, no. He knew what he was doing. He signed it. Everything was fine. So it's a he said, she said. So what is Monty going to do? What are you going to do to try to get whole? Are you going to just take this? And by the way, did you pay cash? End up paying cash? Or
what? No. They applied for the loan and the loan was approved. And so they would not tell me which bank it was. And I waited about a month trying to find where it had been financed. And I talked to the bank in Ocala, and they said they had no papers. So when I went back down there the next morning, they said, I told them, I said, look, I got a call from they checked my credit, and I don't want to do this deal. But if you're gonna, the bank loan and all the stuff in it, I don't want to do that. And so the sales manager said, well, you don't own your trade-in. I had told him, I said, look, I have not signed the title. And he said, well, said you give us permission to sign the title. Well, I'm going to tell you, there's a POA in there, and so many papers, and we went through it, and I saw it, and I asked about it, and they give you the explanation. Said it's just to sign the title for the mileage, that they had to verify the mileage. Well, they signed it to transfer the title, and so I said, I want my motorhome back, and I want you to give me everything back that I just want the keys. And they said, well, you don't own it anymore.
So, okay. So this seems like to me where you trusted a dealer, you put your trust and your faith, and that was the price, $143,971. It's a clean deal. You're going to pay cash. You got to pay registration and taxes, and whether there's some fees there, but it was a clean deal. But slowly over time, they worked you that again, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it sounds like they were working you to their advantage, and you gave a little bit, you were trusting a little bit, you assumed something that wasn't true. Well, do you think Optimum knew this the entire time, and that they were leading you down this path knowing that they were going to trap you? You felt you couldn't get out.
I didn't think they had me trapped because the papers that were signed were not notarized or anything. The copies I've got are not notarized, and they will not give me the notarized copies. Final say, and the bank won't do it. Won't give it to me. So it's not a good sale. It's I'd say a fraudulent sale. They stole my signature. They stole my identity. And used it to borrow money and to sign the title over. Okay. And yes, they knew what they were doing. It was so slick, Alan.
I think they did know what they were doing. They're not. It's not the first time. Your situation is not the first time I've ever heard about Optimum RV down in Florida. But again, if Optimum would like to come on and talk about what this $9,000 camp fee is, whatever they called it, I would love to have an explanation. I'm sure people like you would like a detailed explanation. Yeah. What would you, and there's two things. What would you tell someone else that saw an ad on the internet and said, hey, they're the next Monty. I want to buy that. What advice would you have for them?
Not believe anything the dealer says. Really? I mean, you when you get it in writing and both of you agree, this is what I'm going to do, and they either turn it down or they accept it, or they actually notarize the papers without me saying to notarize them. But it's so complicated. Alan, I was in the construction business for 50 years. And I never went to a closing that there wasn't an attorney there that notarized all the papers as you were signing them. And this is like back years ago, a house that sold for $150,000 to go to a lawyer, and the buyers are there, and no notary there, nobody that can sign the papers and notarize your signature. And we were in a room with a finance guy, and I asked him if he was a notary, and he said no. That was after the fact.
Yeah, but what they're going to say, I believe, is, well, that's just the way we do it, and this isn't real estate, and that's true. Sure. It's not real estate. They probably do it all the time. But so your advice for other people is only believe it if it is in writing and they sign it.
That's exactly right.
How about being willing to walk away, saying, I don't care. I'm not buying it. How important in retrospect do you wish you would have just gotten up and walked away? Because it sounds like you wish you would have.
Well, I thought I did when I left with the signed papers. It wasn't a done deal, but when I signed those and walked away, and they knew that I was getting the papers to take home to look over, and they took advantage of my stupidity, I guess. But I know enough about the law of transferring title and stuff that that everything has to be notarized. The
Okay.
POA, I said,
What are you planning on doing? And we could go on. You've got a lot of stuff here, and we could go on and on. But what are you planning on doing? You're not, it doesn't sound like you're just going to take it and say, I learn from that one. You're going to pursue this. And what are your plans?
I'm going to sue them. I've got an attorney that's in Tennessee that's been giving me the ideas about what to say. He can't practice down here, but he knows the law. And I've drafted a letter that's going to go to the Attorney General here in Florida, the Attorney General in Tennessee, and so many other departments, fraudulent stuff. And I'm going to include the bank, because I think the bank they didn't do their due diligence. I never have talked to the bank except when I called them. They never. Yeah. When I called them, I asked for the papers, and they wouldn't give me the papers. They said,
let me give you a couple of things. One is, and I want to be supportive, but going down the legal path is timely, expensive, frustrating, and I will assure you that Optimum RV, this will not be the first time somebody has sued Optimum. So they have more experience in this than you do. The second thing is lawyers get paid for their time. So, this is going to take a long time. Do you know what you want? What would make you happy? If Optimum said, look, Monty, here's your $9,000 back would that make you happy? What would make you happy?
I would want the Camp Ready fee back, because it's a scam, and it's just to improve profit.
Sounds like
I'd want to lower the price of the motorhome back down to the original price plus the sales tax. I'd agree to pay the sales tax. I'd like to have the closing costs that they charge full parts for. And then also I would like to have all the expense of the loan for financing the thing. I made 2 payments just until I could get the address, and then I paid it off. I've already, I don't owe anything on the motorhome. Yeah. And so, that ought to prove to them that I was a cash buyer. But
have you, last question, what is your relationship like with Optimum RV? Are you just, everything's broken off? Are you talking with anybody? Can you communicate it, in a civil manner with them, or?
No, you cannot communicate with them. They won't answer emails. They won't answer anything. And I think I sent you the Better Business Bureau thing, and you saw how many that everybody would, if those people were turned loose on it, they'd burn it down. But it's obvious that it was from the very beginning. And then I do want to say this: when I was told about what was going to go on as far as fixing and getting the thing, and then the salesman, and then I had a guy come by the shop and voluntarily come over and said the front air conditioner is not blowing right. We're going to replace it, and it was never replaced. And then so when I went in to the final talk with the sales manager, I told him what they told me. And he said, we're not responsible for our salesmen's lies. So, wow. I think the guy from the shop was sent by there as part of the deal. Why did he show up right in the middle? There was other people out there trying to buy motorhomes. So,
well, you said, I told you I was almost finished. You said that you decided to fight because of me. I don't understand that. And I am no lawyer, and I'm just trying to act like a friend to try to give you some things to think about.
I appreciate that, but I think I changed my mind the first time I talked to you, that we've talked and emailed so much, but to just allow these people to continue this scandalous ruse of being a quality RV, it goes down even to I believe the Better Business Bureau. I filed a complaint with them. They sent it to Optimum. Optimum sent back some kind of form letter, so we're sorry that and right. And then the Better Business Bureau took it down.
Oh, really?
So I called them and I said, why did you take my complaint down? And she said, well, you filed it under the wrong thing. And I said, well, you sent it to Optimum. So I figure Optimum, with all those complaints and everything, the Ocala Better Business Bureau has them rated as an A+ company.
Wow.
And you look at A+ and you read those, that like 50 or 60 complaints that are just, people just are just mad because of the way they were treated at this dealership.
Okay,
And,
we're
and
going to
I
wrap this
think,
up. I want to finish this up by making this suggestion. I'm going to put a QR code up on the screen that if people grab their cell phone, they can take a picture of it.
okay,
It's a QR code that will take them to a document that I prepared, and it's actually about Camping World, because Camping World has been double charging these excess fees, and people are able to file with their state attorney general to get their overpayment back. Now, this is a Camping World deal, but I'll put a link down on the bottom of the description of this video as well. There's a template email that I provided that's in a Word document, and and there's also a link to your state attorney general's office. You can contact your state attorney general. You can customize the letter. You can add your documentation, and none of that costs you any money. You don't need a lawyer to do that. That's something that you can do. And so I think that if people like you, people like me, don't stand up and push back, and they're just going to keep doing what they're doing, Monty. So
let me say this, Alan. I have, working with my attorney in Tennessee, I have written a letter that's a letter of complaint. It goes to the bank, and it goes to the RV dealership, and it points out everything that you're talking about, but it also goes into the legal responsibility that they have. You say something to them about the law, they just laugh at you because they don't do anything. They just refuse to even get involved in it. Won't call them, won't talk to them, and so I'm going to go directly to them. I've also found out I could file this in Tennessee, since it was done, it registered in Tennessee. It actually violated Tennessee law with illegal papers. So, and I think the bank's at fault, that because they didn't do any due diligence.
Well, I would like for you to please stay in touch with me, because I'm sure there's people out there that are saying that, look, there's enough of us old dudes out there that we are too trusting in people too often, and the younger people don't realize we can be the biggest pain in their ass that ever was. I am sorry. And it sounds like you are not going to go away. Now, you may not win, you may not prevail, but we need to send the message out there to treat the customer right, be honest and above board. I mean, this is the best kind of advertising, I think, that you can do to get out there the word for Optimum RV and other RV dealers. A camp fee? What the hell is a camp fee? $8,999 for an unexplained camp fee. Well, shouldn't you have included that in the purchase price? Wouldn't it? Don't you think? I mean, instead of
there's no doubt about it. Now, let me be perfectly clear. They said that part of that was transportation fees, but you go buy a car, they got delivery fees on the invoice.
I'm telling you,
there was no
scan that QR code, and because those transportation fees, that has nothing to do. Should have nothing to do. It should be built into the price of that RV to double charge you. And I'm telling you that whatever you do, I would send something to the attorney general as well. You just, while you're at it, just keep flooding them with information. Well, there you have it. Another RV buyer who trusted a dealer, trusted the process, only to feel like he's the one who got taken for a ride. And folks, this isn't just about one dealership. It's not. This kind of thing happens far too often in the RV industry. So, Optimum RV, the ball's in your court, as they say. If you got a good explanation for this camp fee, $8,999 camp fee, I'd love to have you on so you can, I don't have a chance to explain it. Explain it to dummies like me so I can understand. And why was it listed as an option when it really wasn't? Here's something else. How do you justify charging thousands of dollars for something that customers never agreed to? And for everybody watching, if you've been in a similar situation, let's get the conversation going. Drop a comment below. Share your experience. Dealers need to know that RV buyers aren't just going to, roll over and accept these hidden fees and last-minute surprises any longer. And if you feel like you've been wronged by an RV dealer and you don't know where to turn, call me. 1-330-WINGMAN. Don't want to spell it out. 1-330-946-4626. There's no fee, there's no strings attached, just a genuine offer to help. I'm not a lawyer, I'm not, but I am a consumer advocate, and believe it or not, I love RVing. I love the RV industry and most of the folks who do it. Thanks so much for watching. As always, be safe, have fun, play nice, and don't leave your good manners at home.